Thanks, Brian, for the introduction. Before I start my assignment today, I would like to formally express my appreciation to Professor Ben Penny and also Nancy Chu for your invitation and the preparation for this very, I would say, meaningful event. So my assignment today is, as you can see from the screen, the topic is Taiwan's multidimensional energy security challenges. The way I put in challenges, then you can imagine that I don't have the answer yet. But we will highlight the challenges and hope that things will get better and better in the future. Okay, so here is kind of give you a brief idea the structure of my talk today. So we definitely will define energy security as a national security issues. And then I will talk about what's the insecurity about the energy supply and disruption and reliability there. And I will show you a lot of data to show you the current situations in Taiwan updates. And then we will talk about the vulnerability and challenges. And then, of course, policies and the current dilemma and the future. So basically, that's the framework you can expect in the next probably 40 minutes. Okay, so energy security has been labeled or defined as a national security in many countries. In Taiwan, I think we also see energy security as a national security issue here. So what do I mean by national security issues? Whatever will affect our nation's survival and development in general, that's the definition of national security. But in Taiwan, specifically on energy sector, we want to see two things. Is that in the future, we are focused on the energy intensive industries. So, and also a lot of the specific unique situation Taiwan facing is the geopolitical factors about our energy security. And security is something like oxygen. So you don't feel it until you don't have it. Okay. So the first thing you wanted to think about is what makes us feel insecure, right? So you wanted to prepare in advance for security there. So basically, there are two aspects we have to pay attention for insecure feeling about the energy supply sector here. First is efficient supply, insufficient supply. The second one is disruptions. Disruptions either from natural disaster or man-made disaster, which is kind of man-made errors or difficulties there. Okay. So these are two things about energy insecurity. In other words, if you are short of supply, then you feel insecure, right? If you are disrupted, the use of your power disrupted, then you feel insecure. So that's the framework we are going to look at. Then the next thing I wanted to jump to the current situations in Taiwan for you to better understand what's currently the energy situations in Taiwan there. All the data, sorry. Which one? Here. So a lot of data are from the open sources. So the most major part of my presentation is from 2024 Statistical Handbook, published by Ministry of Economic Affairs, Bureau of Energy. There, okay. Now, just get a broader idea about energy supply and energy consumption, energy demand here. So you know that you can tell the size, right? So big chunk, 42% of crude oil and petroleum products imported, but the usage is like this. I just try to kind of highlight the way the graphic shows here. So you know that on the supply side, we have several different variety of sources of energy. Here is the consumption sectors here, so you can tell. Is that clear? You can see, okay? So this is overall supply and consumption chart you can see. So you can see that the biggest consumption is the industrial sector. You can imagine that, right? And but you know, in order to generate power, the energy sector it also uses energy. That's about 8.97%. So this is the way. And transportation, we know transportation still need a lot of fossil oil here, right? Okay. All right. So I'll give you a brief idea. You can get the data from the statistics yearbook I just talked, 2024. Now, next one I wanted to show, you know, usually we think about the energy, kind of very easy to link with power generation, but actually it's not just power generation. It also have other usage there. So here is the total import structure of energy supply. It's not the energy mix for power generation. It's total import of energy supply there. And you can see here, the biggest part still is crude oil and petroleum products. And then coal is the green one, natural gas, and renewable energy is the green one. The nuclear is the orange one, okay? And here's the year, you can tell, is 20 years range here. So you can, probably you see here, not much change in terms of crude oil and petroleum products here. Coal, almost the same, but the difference here is the nuclear power and the natural gas, right? 20 years ago, 20 years later, right? 20 years ago, 20 years later. Okay, just give you a kind of a picture, a broader picture about the energy supply there. And so here is the circle chart. This is 20 years ago. This is 20 years later. The green, what's this color? Brown, almost the same. Gray, almost the same, but difference is blue. Blue is natural gas. I select the graphs so that you can see clear easily. I hope you like my selections. Because the yearbook is like this thing, right? So I just select some charts for you. Next one. Okay, here is what we usually think about the electricity generation. So in other words, the supply of energy, some part, only the electricity generation is just one part of the energy total supply there. Okay, here I want to highlight again. So this is a fuel sources for our power generation. And again, we use coal a lot. Last year, we use natural gas as a fuel sources for our power generation. And here is the renewable energy. And here is the nuclear. And the small line here is what? What is the oil file? Okay, oil file. Okay, this is 1.5. So oil actually, we import a lot of oils, right? But it's for our cars, right? For transportation rather than power generation, right? And then here is the water, is hydro. Okay. Again, 20 years range. So you can see how much change now. We are talking about update, but you have to compare, right? Compare what happened in the past. Here is the electricity generation again, but this one is much clearer. Just select days here. Okay. 2016 is a very crucial day. That's under Tsai's administration. We have a very clear energy policy pronounced at that time. Here, what's the difference between this one and the last one? We can clearly show the increase of demand here, increase of some consumptions here. You can imagine that next year you will taller, right? So and you can see the proportion here. Although the proportion is like this, but you can see the amount is almost the same. This is coal file, right? So the way we use coal did not reduce, okay? And the general the gas natural gas increase. So most of the increasing, probably we will use the green and blue to cover the increased consumption of our energy there. Okay. Now, next, everybody care about renewable energy, right? So here is the structure here. Wanted to see. Also select all the years here. I will go back to the policy, but I wanted to say here, 2016 under Tsai's administration, we have a very new energy policy. At that time, we declared that we will meet the net zero carbon dioxide emission by the year of 250. It just follow the international trend, but without nuclear power. So in other words, we don't want nuclear power, but what we need is more renewable energy, kind of to match the difference of giving up the nuclear power. Okay, so renewable energy, we wanted to see that differently here. So hydro in 2016 still cover 50%, more than 50% of our renewable electricity generation. Now is only 12.4%. What replaced that is the green and dark green and dark green. The green side here is solar. Here is wind. Okay, so I hope this is clear. Even just a year apart, the structure changes as well, right? Then you can see. And now there's 0.01%. Okay, how to pronounce it? 0.1%. Okay, this small part is geothermal. Okay, so currently still 0.1%. And here 12.4% is what? Is hydro. So hydro shrink. It just sort of let you have some idea. But you know, this renewable energy, renewable electricity generation only account for almost 12% of total. So think about the geothermal, then is 0.1% multiplied by 11.7%. So how little that will be, you can calculate that. Okay. Now, so I wanted to go back and think about, look at all this. We go back to think about there's the inherent vulnerability issues here, right? Okay, so we kind of import, if we can go back I have to go back and forth because I don't know how to arrange the whole thing here. So go back here, here. So you see the percentage here, this 进口 means import, right? So this is import. Total imports probably account for 95% of our energy import, okay? So that means we have a serious inherent, because we are lack of indigenous energy resources. So this will come to the inherent vulnerability on import dependence. Okay, this is the first thing. If you link this to this insufficient supply, you can see the import dependence here will kind of have a risk of insufficient supply once the import is disrupted. Okay? Second thing is fuel source concentration here. Okay, so remember what I said, that we have a lot of imports about coal and natural gas and oil. But another thing is concentrated on certain market. So who is our biggest import of coal? Yeah, right. Who is the largest import natural gas importer? Is Australia again, and you can see others. And then about oil, I put a bigger one. Yeah, here's the oil. The biggest oil supply for us, of course, is from the Middle East. Okay. So the concentration in this way give us a lot of risk there. For instance, the oil, see if we wanted to get the oil from Middle East, what's the sea lane of communication here, the transportation lanes for our oil here is kind of from here, then here, then here, then where? Then here, then here, where's Taiwan? Here. Ooh, I'm shaking. Okay. So you can see the maritime transportation route here, right? But you know, this is a long journey, a lot of choke points with a lot of conflict potentials there, potential conflicts there. Okay? So if something happened here, then we cannot go through. If something happened here, where is here? Here's the South China Sea. I bet you heard about South China Sea issues here. So it's very important. Actually, I think it's here. We have to go through Malacca Strait. Malacca is Malacca Strait. Okay, Malacca Strait here. Here, probably. Okay, go here. Well, anyway, so you see there's a problem for the import concentration. Okay, if you just concentrate on certain import partners, then you have the risk over there. Okay? Now, the other thing, remember I said, the other thing here, these are, one is insufficient supply, another is unexpected disruption by the disaster here. So the next two things, the vulnerability is about the unexpected disruption. So the power grid, the way you generate power, but you know that you need to deliver the power to the users, right? So that's a power grid. And then in the past, it's centralized the distribution system. In other words, the Taipower will collect all the energies together and then distribute to the user. Usually, the produce of energy of power is on the at the south of Taiwan, but the users, most of major users are on the north. Okay, so you have a long journey to deliver your power electricity there. Another thing, of course, is the tensions in the Taiwan Strait. So we worry about blockade, quantity, and invasion too. This is the last two things. Particularly think about this is unexpected disruptions. Even a natural disaster will create a risk of disruption. How? I wanted to show you what do I mean by that. So if you think about the supply and demand balance here, it's quite okay, right? Here is the supply and domestic energy consumption. The supply is okay more than the demand. So I think currently it's not about we don't have enough supply, but you know the disruption issues is more important. Here is the import dependence decrease, right? Now it's 95.616%. Okay, decrease. When I was in school, it was kind of 99.5% of import dependence there. We're getting better, but still. Okay. And here is the concentration of liquid natural gas. Remember, we see the chart, the increase of the natural gas is very significant, right? Over the 20 years. And here is the concentration of that import. And the biggest importer for us is Australia. Okay. So this number here is how much we can afford, right? So the import of energy is actually account for last year 12.81% of our total GDP. In other words, still okay, right? So it's in terms of how much we can afford to buy our energy bill. We have this before. Here is the power grid I wanted to our grid system, right? The way we deliver our power. I found the English one here, but it's really small and unclear, so I have to use the Chinese one here. But basically, you can have more details later when you check out the yearbook here. So you see, in the past, as I said, that most of the power was generated in the south of Taiwan and delivered or transmit to the north for use. And then now, slightly changed. They kind of collect in 3 transmission stations here and then distribute. So that reduce the disruption risk there. And so this is something. But so this is in terms of the vulnerability of the power grid. But here is about the sensitivity about these cross relations and how will that blockade and quarantine will look like. This side is the major port for our commercial major port. Here, the square one, I don't know whether you can see, but the square one is this is international, but this is domestic. So the big one is international commercial ports. Here is a special purpose port. How it moves is not complete. But you can see, here's the industrial exclusive port. This chart, all these start and triangular energy sectors. Okay, so you can see that they are very important energy sectors here. And this is the military drill China conducted back in 2022 after the U.S. Congresswoman Pelosi's visit. Okay, so here is the military size there. So you can see, if you see the map corresponding to the ports and our infrastructures, energy infrastructures here is very close by, right? Okay, so you can tell from that here. So that's also another concern about our energy security there. Next. Here is again, this one is 2004 Joint World Exercise Zone. This is right after our new president Lai inaugurated in 2004. They have military actions, and these are all you can see, these are natural gas, oil, and oil refinement. So they are all energy infrastructure, and this is the exercise area. Okay. Well, the picture will say itself, so I don't have to explain too much. Here is about the new policy. Okay. So actually, right now, I want to go back to the policy a little bit. So we know that there's a vulnerability here, right? What we did, size administration. So when you have insufficient supply concerns, and you have disruption concerns, what you really want to set your policy goal is for you have autonomy on energy controls, and you have reliable energy supply, and you have resilience if your energy infrastructure get destroyed or damaged, right? You have something to recover very soon. With these policy goals, here is a policy at that time. Okay, we wanted to also participate in the national trend, so it's a net zero carbon emission by 2050 without relying on nuclear power. As a result, we decrease the use of coal to reduce the carbon emissions, right? Increase natural gas. At that time, the administration believed natural gas has less harmed about this carbon emission. increase renewable energy. At that time, two main sectors is solar and wind. Okay? And then, but all of this, we can see another dilemma and debate here. Okay? So once you have decarbonization of a lot of sectors, you need, in other words, we use electricity more to replace the coal or oil, right? For instance, car, we promote EV or hydro, right? And then we have solar panels, a lot of solar panels, okay? But the solar panel is not weather resistant. In other words, a big area of solar panel farms, solar farms, but if there is a typhoon, they are very vulnerable. This is happened just last month, in July, right after the typhoon Dana, I think, it got destroyed. And there's a trade-off. You need land. Where are you going to put your solar panels? Right, a lot of lands. And then also some of the business scandal there. And the other thing is the wind turbine, the offshore wind turbine. Also, a lot of the offshore wind turbine are farmed offshore, so at the west coast. And west coast is actually in the Taiwan Strait, right? And you need undersea transmission cable to kind of deliver from the wind power to the user here. Okay, so very valuable. Okay. LNG, the natural gas, very difficult for long time storage. Can only storage for a short time. So right now we have kind of 11 to 14 days reserve. Okay, because you cannot say, oh, I buy the natural gas, but I keep there for 2 years. Okay, so that's a storage technology, not yet that requirement. And then the extension of nuclear power. Okay, even if we are reopening our nuclear power plant, still we have the safety and nuclear waste issues there. Then, most importantly is that a lot of things, as I say, once we decarbonized a lot of equipments, then digitalization and electrification of power grid, and even armed force, then we need a lot of power generation. In addition, we have exposed ourselves to cybersecurity issues, right? Because it's all digitalized. Okay. And then the next one is if we are in the case of emergency, the blockade or something happened, then we have these emergency reserve issues. Okay. We do have legal mandate to ask our enterprise and government to meet a certain percentage, certain days of energy reserve there. It's well met. Okay, so right now, coal we have 42 days reserve. Oil is 142 days. So here's talk about some of the future. That's our current government President Lee's policy there. We probably will talk about nuclear later, but here is the diversification of clean energy. In Tsai's administration, the two most important sources is solar, right, and wind. Now, Lee's administration add geothermal, marine or ocean energy, and hydrogen as a fuel source for our renewable energy supply there. And then, of course, we want to have the technology to kind of have this so-called carbon capture technology. It's amazing. If it really happened, we can inject the carbon back to the earth. Okay, so this also developing emerging technology there. And then storage. If we can have electrotech to enhance our storage capacity, then probably will solve part of the liquid natural energy storage issues there. So all of these are very technology intensive solutions there. And so right now, I think we have collaborations with Japan, probably Australia as well, on these electrotech issues there. Okay. Okay, and also here in May this year, we just passed an amendment of electricity bill that required the major consumer of our power to kind of take the responsibility for renewable energy power generation by themselves. So there are specific clause that what they have to do, those major electricity consumers. For instance, T and SMC, how much percentage they have to meet for using renewable energy there. And then to reduce the safety concerns, risk of nuclear power, we are also studying the small module reactors. This has adopted in Japan. Okay? So we need international collaborations if we really want to go back to the nuclear power plants there. Okay, basically, the last one I wanted to show, I think it's the last one. Here is some way to reduce the vulnerability of power grid. The government right now is thinking about to build the power plant, the red one is power plant, next to the industrial park. The black one is industrial park. So that shorten the distance of transmitting the energy there and kind of reduce the risk. So this is also something new for him there. But it doesn't mean that is 100% safe. This morning, I just received the news. I just see the news that this power plant have some incident exposure there. Okay, so still we have to be very careful. All right, so I wanted to pause here to end my formal presentation, and we can have a